Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. I'm gonna be honest, this episode felt like it didn't really give you that much. Um, gave you a little bit, but it felt like I don't know how to put it. Like there was more that they could have gave us. And I understand that it's Monday through Friday and it's only Tuesday, but I just felt like I was watching half of a show for some odd reason. Um, Now let's start off with the whole Marshall and Curtis portion because, well, after dodging the question for a good 5 to 7 minutes of, are you going to tell the truth today? You going to tell the truth today? Is today you going to tell the truth? Marshall actually lets us in on some stuff. Um, that he got in trouble, probably with with some guys from the mob, as far as borrowing some money. Um, and he decided to leave because he didn't want his family being in danger. And at that point, he was like, all right, so that's good enough, right? And Curtis is like, no, because I need to know who you're dealing with in order to protect Stella and TJ, because whoever these guys are, you're still running from them. So they're still a threat. He wants to know who they are. He says he has some contacts or whatever, probably like Sonny or whatever, that could sit there and maybe help out. Um, Well, Marshall's just like at this point, he seems like he's just done sharing. He feels like it's best to, I gave you enough. But my thing is like he feels that he gave him enough. He's like he doesn't want him to ask any more questions and things of that nature. But I'm like, bro, these people are still coming after you. So rather you give them a little information or a lot of information, the minute that these people find out where you are and find out you're hanging around TJ and you're talking to Portia and stuff like that, they're still going to be in danger. So this whole let sleeping light, just leave it alone and like no. Um, because at this point he's fed up. He's fed up with getting like little bits and little bits and little bits and little bits of information. You're like, you know what? Stay away from me. Stay away from my family. You're not being honest. You're only giving us like breadcrumbs, and he feels like that's just not enough. And I can understand. I can understand where Courage is coming from, and I guess to some extent I can understand where Marshall's coming from. But I just look at it and I'm like, Marshall, rather you tell him the whole truth or not, just him being at that hotel with you, he's in danger. And so I kind of look at it and I'm just like, well, what made you decide to come back? You just felt like the coast was clear and you kept moving around and dodging around. And you decided to stay in Port Charles. Like, why? I'm just, none of this stuff is really adding up to me. Um, so, yeah, that, that ends that scene more or less. I'm gonna be honest, it's not like I'm over at this point, but this whole Carly and Sonny arguing, people are taking sides, and some people sitting there saying, Carly's being too much, and other people sitting there saying Carly's justifying her actions. And you know what I saw today? In a lot of ways, they were both wrong. They were both wrong, and in some extent, I was kind of over it. I mean, Carly started coming in with things like, oh, well, Nina said this, and this could have happened, and that could have happened, and that almost happened. I'm like, and it didn't happen, and where are you going with this? But Sonny keeping the truth at this point, having her spiral like this, this is on you. This is on you. The minute that you got back, the next day after, you should have said something. This whole, oh, well, Jason was gone, and then Sasha's baby was gone. You could have told her way before then, and you didn't. So while Sonny's getting annoyed and frustrated, and it's like, oh, you're giving me a headache. It's like, bro, you caused this. You caused this. Um, And so, towards the end of this conversation, Carly's like, well, I asked you to stay away and I told you to give me some time. And I'm like, well, this is his house, so I don't know what you're talking about. But whatever. You know what? They both got money. And if it really came down to it, it sucks. Because there's really no good answer. Carly told him to give him time. Dante's like, you need to sit there and talk to her. You need to sit there and figure this out. I mean, either way, there's really no simple solution to it. Um, I get where Carly's coming from, but I get where Sonny's coming from also because you can sit there and give each other space and time, and then it turns into excuses. Then it turns into, oh, I don't feel like dealing with this, and having too much time apart, can cause a lot of problems as well. Sonny getting frustrated is causing a lot of problems. Carly coming in, be like, oh, well, Nina said this, and you could have did that, is causing a lot of problems. So, to be honest, I'm just kind of like, everyone's not there saying that they're going to eventually get back together because they're end game, and, they've been this way and that way, and this way and that way. And, at this point, I'm just kind of like, all right, so when is this whole Sonny and Nina thing going to start to happen? Because, to be honest, them going back and forth. After a while, I was like, bro, both of y'all giving me a headache. Both of y'all just no. When are you gonna do this whole Nina and Sunny thing? Do I think that? Do I think that Nina and Sunny could be good together? You know what? It could be interesting. It could be interesting. Um, I remember I was sitting there having a conversation with Soap Sanctuary, and this is I think during our last crossover, our last collab crossover. Um, and one of the things I was sitting there saying was like, you know what? Listen, I wouldn't even have so much of a problem with them being together, but it was the way that they went about it. Well, it was the way that Nina went about it is what gave me pause and was just like, this is stupid. This is gonna last. Your relationship's built on lies. Blah blah blah. But now everything's all out in the open. And you know what? If I can sit there and get less of Sunny and Carly bickering just for a little bit, I'll go with that. Now, I think this goes without saying, but for the newcomers, yeah, I'm not a fan of Nina at all. I'm not a fan of hers. Um, I don't think that she's the devil incarnate, but she's not exactly. Um, I just don't like her. With that being said, I would be interested in the dynamic between Sunny and Nina. Not just because Carly and Sonny just annoying the hell out of me, but I felt like they had some interesting moments back at Nixon Falls. And my only hiccup with that whole thing that would kind of get on my nerves a little bit was Nina and her lies. There's no more lies. So at this point, the only way they can only go up from at this point. You know. And I know a lot of people isn't it there saying that Nina can't handle the danger in Sonny's life and yada yada yada. On one hand, that's absolutely true. On the other hand, you know what? As much as I don't like Nina, she could probably surprise people. You know, she may want to surprise people like, you know what? Listen, you do what you got to do, and I'm gonna do what I got to do, and it's gonna be whatever it's gonna be. She can want to surprise people. Who knows? Um, I guess we'll just have to sit there and wait and find out. And hopefully we don't have to wait that long because this, it's not working for me. I mean, hell, even when it was a bit of a nice moment, or Sunny trying to cook for Carly, Carly was like, "Yeah, I'm not doing this. We're not gonna sit there and play pretend and act like everything's okay." I get where Carly's coming from, but I get where Sunny's coming from too. Listen, I just want to have a good night. I get it, you're angry, yada yada yada. They did talk about Luke and the stuff, blah 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 blah. I don't care. Um, I get where Sonny's coming from too, though. Like he didn't feel like arguing. He just wanted to cook something for her, do something nice, and then it just turned into an argument. And then Sonny's at a point where he's like, Or we just past the point of no return? But Sonny, you kind of put yourself in a situation. So now Willow comes over to, Crimson to see Nina, which, she's putting some ice on her face. And by the way, I felt like that. I mean, everyone is there saying that that slot was pretty weak. And there's probably a good reason for that. The reason is that they're friends. Okay? So I doubt she was going to really sit there and go full force because we've seen Carly today sit there put hands on people. Okay? This version of Carly put hands on people. She goes a lot harder than that. So I just have a feeling it's because they're friends in real life, and she was not going to sit there and go all four fours. Um, but she got like some ice or something on her face, and Willow comes over to apologize. She comes over to apologize for blurting everything out, putting in her awkward position. I mean, blurting everything out and apologizing for what she said as far as Nina using her, and Nina apologized for putting her in that situation where she you know had to sit there and decide whether she's going to commit perjury or not. They both apologized. Cool. But nope, it does not stop there because Willow's like, all right, so here's what I want you to do. Because this is a gift for Wiley. I want you to give up all your legal rights towards Wiley, and I'll work on Michael so this way you can have visitation rights. This way it can, calm down the friction and everything like that. And, at first, Nina's like, I'm sorry, what? You live in a fantasy land, right? Because what planet do you think that he's just going to cool down just because you whisper some nice words in his ears? Um, but towards the end of the episode, she did sit there and say I should think about it, because she does still have rights, and Michael. Maybe before this whole thing went down, you might would have been able to reason with him. But this Michael is on some next level stuff. I mean, he's practically threatening Mrs. Wu. Like, it's cool and it's a good and healthy thing to do. So, this Michael, I don't know if you should do that. I mean, granted, no one wants a custody war. You know, no one wants, he's been through that. Michael's been through that. He doesn't want that. It's not good for Wiley. But, we're not dealing with old Michael. Um, we're dealing with this new version, and he's a little unpredictable at this point. And this is where, for the most part, some of this episode does start to trickle down a little bit. I mean, you got Maxi and you got Felicia, and after Felicia voices her concerns for Maxi and her state and how she's handling things too well, she wants to sit there and find out who she likes, or because they get into a support system as far as like who's on a support system, and Felicia's like, all right, I want a name, I want a name, I want a name. So Maxi's like, is Austin. He was a good friend. He helped her out, delivered her baby, and everything like that. So, they just good friends. And Britt and Austin, I can't believe I actually had to sit through whatever that was. Um, of Britt that they're trying to hit on guys, and it just, I really couldn't sit there. Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. It was just, I mean, when she started talking about band camp, and I know she was joking, I was like, nope, 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 no. Why are we doing this for? No, no. Can we just get past this part? I guess it was supposed to be for comic relief. Yeah, okay, sure. But after that, Austin does reluctantly talk about Maxie as far as being interested in her. But the timing sucks, and there's the whole Brooklyn problem. So I'm gonna start calling Brooklyn Blazer. That's what I'm gonna start calling her. I'm gonna start calling her Blazer until she takes off that goddamn blazer. I'm gonna start every once in a while calling her Blazer. Um, so yeah, they talk about that. Maxie and his films. Well, not his films for her, but that he's interested in her. So Laura comes in and opens the door, and Victor is just sitting there, and Laura's like, "I'm sorry, the hell are you doing in my house?" So after Victor's like, it was Spencer and his lovely girlfriend that let me in. They start going back and forth. Spencer comes in, and you know, Laura's like, you can stay since they made you tea and stuff like that. So they start talking. And of course, Victor brings up Luke and his death, and more just to get a rise out of her. So, and then of course, at this point, Victor's talking about redemption and making amends and blah, 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 blah. I mean, he ain't there to do none of that. Okay, he ain't there to do none of that. He can say that all he wants, but he's not there to do none of that. Um, so they talk for a little bit. And it's funny, too, because the way that they're going back and forth, you can see. At, 1 second. Esme. Actually, I just sit there and look at the comments for a second. Esme. So you can see Esme and Spencer just kind of looking back and forth like it's some sort of tennis match. Um, and at the end, Victor leaves. He says a couple words, but Laura just kind of slams the door in his face. So that was pretty funny. I feel like that's about it. For the most part, I would definitely sit there and say it was a good episode. The weak points was Austin and Britt and Maxi and Felicia. It just was like, all right, I didn't really need to sit there and see them doing speed dating. And to be honest, Austin didn't really remotely do his part as far as being a wingman. I mean, he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be a wingman." I was like, "Bro, do you even know what that entails?" Because she's out there floundering, and you're just kind of just sitting by the bar, just drinking and chilling. Like, bro, you're on the clock. What are you doing? That's another reason why I just kind of found that whole thing stupid. It was like, all right, you're gonna go on these speed datings or whatever. I'm gonna sit there and be your wingman. All right, go get him. What are you doing? Like, so yeah, that whole scene just didn't work for me. Um, and, when I sit there and think about these episodes, sometimes like the Curtis and Marshall stuff was really good. I mean, we found out some stuff after a good 7 or 2 weeks or whatever, which was interesting. And I get that a lot of times with some of these characters, they're not always going to have like a really good story or whatever. But like sometimes I'm just like this whole favoring Sonny and the Corrento stories and stuff like that. I mean, hell, they even with Willow, it's like Willow is interesting because she's with Sonny and everything like that. What they're doing, but when she was with Chase sometimes, I mean, yeah, it was nice and cute, but it was like you don't really. It's like the writers don't really give everyone equal shine, or really great storyline, and it's just pretty obvious. It's unfortunate, but I think that's why I partly like watching the other shows like Days and B&B. And the minute that I'm done with my magical list, um, Y&R. But then again, I'm only saying that because I haven't really been watching them that long. And unfortunately, I'll probably find out sooner or later if they start favoring certain people over the other. But with that being said, I'm going to go. I want to thank everyone for watching. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next video.